Um, okay, so this one actually is gonna get me emotional. I'm gonna try hard not to, but he told Morgan that my family is white trash and that he has met my parents twice. Um, so yeah, let's dive into that for a second. My parents have like done so much for that man, especially my dad. Um, he's been on vacation with our family for Christmas. He's been over for countless like birthday dinners, Christmas mornings, Thanksgivings, Mother's Day, family dinners, movie nights. I mean, like countless times. They bought him like really expensive birthday gifts. Like my dad would like research things like there's like this army knife. I forget like what it's called. It's like an expensive ass knife. He like got that for Evan like for Christmas. Like sent cards, welcomed him to the family. They've always been nothing but like kind and hopeful, even though like my dad saw right through him from the beginning. There was one time that Evan couldn't even buy groceries and had like no food at all, and my dad literally ordered a pizza for Evan to get like sent to his house. And my dad like he really truly is like the best guy, and he has my dad's an amazing man, so when I say this, I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but he kind of could relate with Evan with a few things, like being an athlete, kind of being like a player when he was younger, having kind of a stress relationship with his dad. So my dad was like really like, I'm gonna be there for him, like I'm gonna welcome him to our family, like he's gonna be like my son. And for him to like come after my family like that after so much that my family did for him is so fucking crazy to me. He's literally in like family pictures at like Christmas. He's in my brother's like wedding photos, like crazy. Okay. And it's like I'm strong. Like you can say shit about me, like I don't care. But once you come from my family, like, bro, not okay under any circumstances, because quite honestly, whoever I end up marrying is going to have the most badass, awesome father-in-law ever. Evan's he treated my dad like shit, and my dad's he's awesome. Everyone loves my dad. So that pisses me off. So he told Morgan and everyone that all of his friends hate me and are glad that we aren't together because I'm crazy. I don't want to get into this too much because I have a lot of respect for his friends, and I actually have developed my own friendships with them over the years. None of that is true. Before the show, he was telling them like I'm the one for him. He's gonna propose to me. He's gonna get a ring from the network. They've all told me that every single time that he spoke about me to them, it was nothing but amazing things. Just talking about how incredible I am. He's the best version of himself. I mean, like really over the top. So no, none of that is true. His friends think I'm very fun, energetic, good vibes, rational. No. And like when I'm with someone and I'm all in with someone, like your friends and your family, like I'm gonna make them my friends and my family. So no, not true. Love his friends. Yeah, no. But that's all I'm gonna really say on that, because like I said, I respect our mutual friends very, very much. So when he was in downtown LA with Morgan on my birthday, a couple days after filming TI, he was like sobbing in public. It was my birthday. He was texting me the whole time. They didn't know that. I wasn't answering the text. I was ignoring them. He told Morgan and Erica that he was crying because I maxed out our imaginary credit card on Louis Vuitton for my B-Day. Yeah, no, not true. He was texting me that he thinks he took things too far, that he's having panic attacks, he needs to be with Ghost. I've never bought myself anything designer in my life, ever. I've never maxed out a credit card. We never had a credit card. I'm not a materialistic person. I don't even own any designer things. And that's another thing that he told everyone, is that I'm this like shallow, materialistic person. I mean, I don't want to like dive into it because I'm not trying to judge anyone. Whatever you want to do with your life, that's great. But I have no plastic surgery. I don't own one single designer thing. I shop at like TJ Maxx and Marshalls. I'm very, very low maintenance, very low key. Like, takes me 30 minutes to get ready, like crazy. So the reason why after the show, and he lied so much, why I was thinking about giving him another chance. So he's sobbing on my birthday in downtown LA with Morgan. She finally flies to Virginia. Evan's little brother convinces me to let Evan over. He comes over. I don't speak to him. I go to sleep with like my beats on to like drown him out. He's sobbing on the couch all night long. The next morning I'm getting ready. He's just sitting on the couch in silence. He starts crying, sobbing, saying production turned us against each other. He's doubting his feelings for Morgan. He thinks he took things too far between us. No shit. And we spit, and at that point, because it was like real tears, like I was like woke to his bullshit, but he was trying to gaslight me again. We spent like 2 days together. We did not hook up. We did not kiss. None of that. But we watched movies together. We ran errands together. He told me that he wanted to fix things and live separately and go to therapy. Once he got back from ending things in Virginia with Morgan, he needs to see that it's not going to work in the real world. He encouraged texts and calls. He wanted me to text and call him. I still have the text to prove it because I'm like scared to delete them because I just need people to know that I'm not lying. And that went on for like a week. And then he dumped me again in a text message. And 2 hours before he dumped me again in this like psycho long novel, he literally sent like thinking of you with like a bunch of heart emojis like 2 hours before. And at that point, I was like, okay, you're actually like you're sick, like something's wrong with you. And I sent a very short text like, okay, like I don't want to be with someone that's like disloyal and a liar and is gonna do all these things, so do your thing, like go be happy. And he was pissed by my response. He literally responded, he's like, wow, okay, will do, because I think he wanted me to like beg again. I'm like, fuck no, like this is crazy. And I could not get him out of my house. So after the show, I kind of ghosted like everyone because I could not get this guy out of my house. He was just in Virginia for like 3 weeks. He left me with his dog, which is an aggressive German Shepherd that like I can't even walk on a leash. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get him out for weeks. When he finally did move out, I left for that whole day, and when I came back to my apartment, I was expecting like everything to be gone. Literally, me and my parents were ready to go to Costco and like buy like new bed, everything, like new TV. I came back and like he literally took nothing, but he like went through my stuff. Like I had like my Halloween costume from the night before. He had moved it from like the chair to the couch. He went through like my shoes. Very freaking weird. It was definitely, he was just trying to stay attached, like, because he knew I was really done. So once he knew I was really done, he officially moved out on October 27th. He constantly was trying to stay in my life and make his presence known. He was reaching out to my best friends that he told Morgan that I don't have friends. Meanwhile, like I've been in their weddings, he's been at their weddings like crazy. So he would DM my friends. He would send me like novels out of nowhere, like blaming for everything that he did on the island. And I'm ignoring these things. Ignore, not responding. He's sending me DMs. I would wake up in the morning and there would be like heart emojis on one of my freaking IG pics, and I would ignore it. And then like 9 hours later, he would delete it. And then on New Year's Eve is when I finally was like, yo, this is crazy, because he sent me another novel blaming me for everything. So he was like harassing me for months, and I sent the most, it's one of my proudest moments, honestly, New Year's Eve 2018. It's a novel, like the craziest novel I've ever sent in my life, with like truth bombs, and like people that have seen it are like, Casey, you like eviscerated his manhood for like eternity. Like, he'll never recover from that text. So since that night, New Year's Eve 2018, I have not heard from Evan. He's blocked on everything. His number's blocked. His family's number's blocked. He cannot get a hold of me. Yeah. He doesn't know where I live. Like, that's a big thing. Every time that he was in LA for like filming or the reunion, like when I still lived in our old studio apartment, I didn't even stay there when he was in town. I would go to my parents' house, because he's unpredictable and he's irrational and aggressive and very, very sick. And he can't know where I live. And that's another reason why I'm a little hesitant with Morgan, because I made it very clear like how I feel about Evan and how dangerous I think he is. And she was still like talking with him for like this whole time, and like I don't judge her at all for that. Like, do you, girl? But like me personally, like I'm very aware of what a dangerous person he is, and he's like capable of a lot. Okay, so after my birthday, when I finally let him over and I was like getting ready for work that morning, he's like crying, and then he's like, so like, can we talk? I was like, what do you want to talk about? I don't really feel like there's anything to talk about. And he's like, I want to know like about your time on the island and blah, 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 blah. And then he asked me, he was like, did you like make any connections? And I remember I was very careful about my response, because I didn't want him to know the person's name. Because Evan, in the past, if I ever had like interest in another guy or like had another boyfriend when we were on and off, he would like target that person and like get in my head about that person and tell me all the reasons why I shouldn't be with them, why it wouldn't work, like why I can do better. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be honest right now, but I'm not gonna say the name, because I knew that he wouldn't have seen my overnight date at a bonfire, because there were no bonfires. So I was honest, and I told him, I was like, yeah, I was like, Ev, like I did have a connection, a very real one, but I freaking kept our promise. Like, I avoided him like the freaking plague, because I didn't want to cheat. So I chose him for my overnight, but like I didn't do anything. Like I was very good. And I will never forget the look in his face. Like, he almost like kind of like went back a little bit on the couch, and like his eyes got really big, and he was like very, very taken aback by the fact that I like just so easily said like I had a very real connection, and like told him it was my overnight date. And I was like smiling, I was like happy talking about it. And I even said, I was like, I've never felt that way before. Like, I felt like my best self, and like so happy, like going through the most traumatic thing in my life. And I've told him all these things. And but then I said, I was like, I didn't want to break our promises, and I didn't want to embarrass you on TV like the way you did to me. So that was that. And he immediately, after he was like taken aback, he tells me, and I'll never forget this, he's like, well, like, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but like I saw screenshots of all the single guys talking, and they were all saying how like they want nothing to do with you, they think you're unattractive, so yeah, like you just should know, like that's what's going on. And then he told me that he's like, if you tell anyone about what I just told you, like me and you are over for good. Like, we're not gonna go to therapy, we're not gonna figure it out. He left to like go get money, or like I think he went to go pay his phone bill because his phone was shut off. I immediately texted the guys that it was my few guys that I was close with, and then the one guy in particular that Evan was talking about. And they all were like, ask him to show you the screenshots. Didn't freaking happen. And I think they probably thought like, yo, like she's being crazy. Like she literally disappeared and now she's asking us about like psycho screenshots. But that was like all Evan. Like he just made it up because he felt threatened, because he could tell that I had genuine feelings, not for him, but for someone else. Crazy. Yeah, dude. And he like targeted that person too. He would like go out of his way to like follow him, like his shit, tweet him, ask if he can come to New York for like a cut. Like, it was so like, I'm gonna get upset even talking about it. Like, Evan's just fucked up. So yeah, Evan was on a mission to fuck that all up. And he kind of did. After the show, he left me with a joint bank account with negative money in it. He left me with unpaid bills like Wi-Fi that I thought were taken care of. He told me that he would help pay rent for like, I think he said 1 or 2 months, until like I could figure things out without him, without that extra $400. Jesus. Never paid a dime. So he very, very briefly worked at 24 Hour Fitness. After I gave him the ultimatum, he did finally get a part-time job, and he started a whole full-blown like workers' comp lawsuit with them. And after the show and he moved to Virginia, he full-blown ghosted the lawyers. So I received, because he never changed his address, I received letters from their lawyers, phone calls because I was his emergency contact, because he owed them like legal fees for not showing up to court. He stole $10,000 from his best friend, claimed to invest it into Bitcoin, and then told his best friend that it was just a bad investment. Like, shit happens. That tends to happen with Bitcoin. It's a big risk, high reward. To this day, I don't know what happened with that $10,000. He promised me that he would finish his degree. He never did. He told people that he graduated from USC, never did. He's told people he's owned multiple restaurants and that he owns multiple properties and mansions and has a trust fund. None of that is true. He is broke, and he's living off of his best friend. Just how he was living off me, Morgan, his parents. Everyone is provided for him. Evan has never provided for himself. He never won anything in Bitcoin. He never made money in Bitcoin. So that's just a lie. He told people, this actually is gonna really upset me, that I have an eating disorder and I'm suicidal, and he paid for me to go to therapy once a week for the past 3 years. Number one, I've never had an eating disorder. People that really know me, my family, my inner circle, I eat like absolute shit. Like, I'm just gonna own it. It's actually really bad. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm the fast food queen, okay? I'm very thin naturally. It's my genetics. I have a fast metabolism. When my anxiety's out of control, I lose my appetite, which is why I was so skinny on the show, because I had no appetite and I lost a drastic amount of weight in a very short amount of time. I've never been suicidal at all. It was actually the other way around. He was the one that would always threaten that. To this day, I think I've probably been to therapy 6 times in my entire life. I'm actually scared to go to therapy for this, but my parents and my family and like my close inner circle friends, they tell me that I need to go to therapy for this, but it's like so overwhelming that I don't even know where to begin. But in my whole life, therapy like 6 times. He's never paid for a dime. He's never paid a dime for it. In fact, I'm the one that had health insurance through my job that he was a dependent on, because we were domestic partners, and I was the one paying for his doctor visits. So, not true. Oh yeah, we already talked about how he said I'm materialistic and I love showing off that I have money. Not true. Again, no designer clothes, no designer bags. I mean, if a guy like took me to Rodeo and like bought me like the tiniest little Louis Vuitton wallet, I would lose my shit. Like, I would lose my shit. Okay, so it's like way later in the day. My phone died, and then I got like a crazy freaking migraine. Took a nap, took some Tylenol, and now we're back. Watched some Warrior Nun, shout out Netflix. So first off, I want to say, like, I hate that this video is even 2 parts. I didn't want it to be, but it is what it is, you know. Watch it, don't watch it. I just, for my own closure, need to let people know just the bullshit that I've gone through because of this human that was so disgusting to me the last few years we were together, and then afterwards. So anyways, we were talking about materialistic things. So yeah, if anyone ever bought me anything designer, I would literally lose my mind. I'd be like, I'd probably cry. He never got me flowers. I'd be at work all day on my birthday, like praying that I would come home and there would be like something for my birthday. Nothing. Same with like Valentine's Day. I've never had like a real like Valentine's Day. Like seriously, the last time I had a real Valentine's Day was like high school with my high school sweetheart. Which is like, I don't know why I put up with that. I mean, I made the excuse that he didn't have any money because he played basketball and then didn't have a job, whatever. So yeah, not materialistic at all whatsoever. He said I never met his dad. He told numerous people that, and he used that to show people like she's crazy for saying that she was involved with my family and like whatnot. I actually met his dad on 4 separate occasions. 3 of them were at the house that his family lived in the Valley. 1 time was at USC. I've shaken his hand. We've joked. He even like said stuff about my cheer uniform. So definitely 100% met him. So he made the comment that, sorry, my cat and my dog is like being ridiculous. One sec. My dog is such a handful. So he made it publicly known that a different girlfriend of his was there during his family's like tragedy. I'm not really sure what he means by that, because the day that we found out that Evan's dad was missing, I was the first person that he reached out to. Well, one of the first people. I left school, drove to USC, from Glendale to USC, and then from USC to Calabasas to bring him home. Me and my dad printed off flyers, put them all over freaking Oak Park, surrounding cities, LA. I was with his family like almost every other night, like literally in the midst of it, ordering pizza, watching movies together. I picked up his dad's ashes with him in my car. I was very, very much a part of that entire time in his life, and that time in his life is a big reason why I let so much slide with him, because he truly did go through a traumatic, devastating situation that most people could never relate to. So I was like, and he would use it as an excuse, unfortunately. So I let a lot pass because of that when he started acting really crazy that last 3 years. And he would use it as an excuse, like I just said. He gave me Morgan's address. She was never aware of this. She was not okay with me having her address. She didn't know about that until me and her started talking. What else? Oh, so during the show, and this is something that I'm like super embarrassed about, like 2 things I'm really embarrassed about. Throughout the show, I was writing him letters, and it was more just to like get my thoughts out. And I'm not gonna lie, like they're emotional, they're a lot, like I'm embarrassed by them. And I gave them all to him like after TI, like once he cried to me those few days, and I was like, damn, like I think he might be having a breakdown, like let's get him in therapy, like see what we can do. He then, once he realized he couldn't control me anymore, and I was like ignoring him and telling the truth and going on the podcasts, and being honest and just saying facts of what happened, he blackmailed me, or threatened to blackmail me with those letters. And they're very sad, they're very desperate, they're very emotional. The other thing I'm embarrassed by is that week that he was in Virginia and I thought he was ending things with Morgan, and he told me to like constantly text him, and he told everyone that I was suicidal and that's why he was responding. I was texting him like a crazy amount, like I'm not even gonna lie about that all, but it was definitely not suicidal. It was like telling him about everything that happened on the island, capture the flag, talking about my Halloween costume, work, ghosts, like it was just telling him everything. He was telling me about like he's going on a tour at the Pentagon, which I didn't realize was with Morgan. I thought he was just like doing his thing. I don't even know what I was thinking. It was still a dark time. So this is the biggest thing that I want to clarify, the last major lie. He has made it very clear to everyone. My dog is such a handful. I'm not stopping the video. I just don't feel like editing or putting that much effort into this any longer. So he told everyone it was my idea to go on the show, and I forced him to go, and he didn't want to be there, and blah, 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 blah. I was the one that was reached out to on IG, on my IG. When I got the DM, first off, I thought it was a scam. Second off, I wasn't even gonna tell Evan, because my first initial thought was Evan can't mentally handle a show like that, because you have to be a very like strong-willed person. Like, you have to be very true to yourself, not easily manipulated, and just like have your shit together. So I wasn't even gonna tell him. But then I thought, you know what, he's kind of in a dark place. At that point, he had already had the ultimatum. He needed money, he needed a job. So I was like, you know what, I might as well tell him, because it is a good opportunity money-wise, just for like a little extra cash. It's nothing crazy by any means at all. I told him, and he was stoked. He was super excited about it. He immediately was like, we can get a wedding fund together when we combine our money, some savings. It can like hold me off so I have a little more time to get a job, whatnot. What else did he say? He said that we were gonna use the show for fame and followers, and it was gonna change our lives. Like, he couldn't wait to be on TV. Like, he was stoked. I can't stress that enough. And he was very much like, let's start the casting process. Let's give him a call. So we got cast. We were the first couple cast, and we actually knew that we were cast and going on the show an entire month before we were set to fly to Hawaii. So every single day, that entire month before, I would talk with him, because in my gut, I knew deep down, like, you don't go on a show like this with someone you're truly like madly in love with and like want to be with forever. And I had concerns, so I brought them up to him, and we made very specific rules. We had this, the main thing was, we're aware it's a reality show. We're aware that they are going to manipulate and make things look like things that they are not. And until we are in person with each other, we do not believe anything that we see or hear at all whatsoever, because reality producers fuck with you, and we are aware of that. I was the one that brought up to him, and I even was like, you're gonna think I'm crazy for saying this, if we like fall for someone, let's respect each other and our old life and our old relationship, and let's break up off camera and then pursue that relationship. He laughed it off, thought I was ridiculous for bringing that up. He kind of got emotional and was like, I can't even believe you would say something like that, and made me pinky promise that like there's no way in hell that was gonna happen. And then fast forward, the night before we started filming in Maui, we were actually alone in a hotel in Maui for like a week before we started filming. The night before we started filming, he had a full-blown breakdown, like panic attacks. He was on the bathroom floor crying. It was bad, and it was to the point that I told him, I was like, if you don't calm down and just start breathing and like sip this water, like deep breaths, like I'm gonna have to call 911 or like let production know what's happening right now, because you're not gonna make it through the show. There's no way. Like, you have to be confident and secure in like our situation. Because he kept saying like, you're gonna fall in love with someone, you're gonna leave me, like, yeah. So that was one of the last situations I had with him, which brings me to why I begged on the show, which is the number one question that I'm getting. So on my overnight date, honestly, and I say this with confidence, that 48 hours is by far one of like the best days of my life. And I don't want to get emotional, but I went from being like so upset and like just like traumatized to like, yeah, I was emotional because like we had to talk about like heavy shit, and producers are like bringing up conversations, and like obviously we have to talk about what's happening with Evan. But I woke up that next morning like literally so happy and like so just like, I felt like a rock star. Like I was like, I'm strong. And I woke up before Val did. JP, producer, he sat me down and he asked me off camera, he was like, so what are you gonna do? And he could see like I'm like grinning and like I'm a different Casey. And I was like, I think I'm gonna break up with Evan at the bonfire. And JP was like nodding. He's like, freaking yes, and like gave me like a pound it. We were like stoked. So after the overnight, we get back to the house, we say goodbye to the guys. Production takes us in and lets us know that we're gonna have our bonfires the next day. So I'm still confident at that point. I'm not in my head yet. And I'm good. The next morning we wake up, they tell me that my bonfire's not that night. I have to wait that entire day, that night, the whole next day, and then my bonfire's the next night. I immediately started panicking because I was like, you guys don't understand. Like, this guy gets in my head. I'm not strong with him. Like, I need my bonfire to be tonight. Like, you don't get it. Like, I need it to be tonight. And they were like, no, Casey, this is just, it is what it is. And so then we had a notebook to write our speech down in. And then they told me I couldn't have my notebook at the bonfire. And then I started crying, begging them. I was like, you guys don't understand. Like, he gets in my head. I'm gonna forget what I'm gonna say. Like, I'm gonna get all like weak. I'm gonna lose my confidence. And all of them were like, you're strong. Like, you're a badass. Like, you got this. Like, don't let him get in your head. They didn't let me have a fucking notebook. As you saw on the show, he immediately started turning things around on me. And if you wanna know what gaslighting is, that is gaslighting. It's a lesson. If you guys wanna know what gaslighting looks like, go freaking watch The Bonfire. He got in my head and I started begging because everything was flooding in at the same time. It wasn't so much that he was breaking up with me for like someone he loved. It was that I had been trying to get out of this relationship for so long, and this dude continuously sobbed and begged me and like asked for second chances, like told me he would get better, and I gave him like chance over chance, and I did so much for him. I gave him my all. Like, I worked 18-hour days. I provided for us. I freaking was patient with him. I was loving. Like, I met his friends, his family. I involved my life around him. I moved to an island. I sold my car. Like, all of that was flooding in. And then I was like, you're literally doing this, like embarrassing me and humiliating me on national television, breaking all of your promises, pretending I'm the problem. And then on top of it, I just had like this amazing guy that made me feel the most amazing I've ever felt in my entire freaking life. And it was like easy and great. And I just like sent him home on a freaking plane and avoided him the entire freaking show because I knew if I was alone with him, I would cheat. And I wanted to respect you. And I wanted to keep our promises. So now I'm thinking like, I just did all of this and got rid of one of the best people I've ever met in my life for you and this situation. So it was a lot going on in my mind at once. And I blacked out and I 100% still have PTSD from it. I have flashbacks to it. I'm not even gonna lie, when I get around bonfires and tiki torches, I get a little weird. That's hilarious, but it gives me anxiety. I have nightmares that Evan is in. It's a whole thing. Okay, so the last few things I wanna say, because we gotta bring this chapter to a close. I'm normally an incredibly private person when it comes to my personal life. And I'm a strong believer that in a relationship, when it's like normal and healthy, and both individuals are just like self-aware, not toxic people that aren't abusing each other, any problems you have in a relationship, like you don't share that with people, like at all, which is a big reason why I've kept everything private for so long. Like I've said a lot, but I haven't said everything that I've said today. And then part of that is because I've always wanted to stay above it and classy, but at the same time, after Morgan did her video, it's like, I kind of feel like after how he treated me and how I got treated by the world, honestly, like people need to know that this type of relationship is like not okay, not normal, at all whatsoever. And I'm a big believer in there's two sides of every story. His side, her side, the truth. This is one of the only times that I truly can confidently say my story is the truth and his is not. I've been 110% honest from the beginning because I knew how serious and severe this situation was and that it was important that I be honest. He truly lies so much that I think he believes his own lies, and I think he lives in his own universe and his own reality, and I don't think he thinks anything that he does is wrong. I 100% believe that when I gave Evan the infamous ultimatum in February, and then he was like an angel from February till we started filming TI, he knew at that point that I was really done and that he couldn't manipulate me the way that he used to, because I kicked him out of the house. Like, I broke up with him. So at that point, he was like, I need a replacement. I need someone to pay my bills, someone to take over Casey's role. And he went shopping on TI, and Morgan was the perfect candidate because she was one of the only girls that fell for his bullshit. She was one of the only girls that had a good job, an apartment. She lived on the East Coast, so he could start over there, away from everyone in LA that knew the truth about him and our relationship. So yeah, 100% he went there to find a new me. And our personalities are very much alike. We are very bubbly, we have big energy, we're both funny, confident, like very much alike. So I want to talk about, I do not take calling someone a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath, gaslighter, toxic. I do not take those accusations lightly, or saying that you're in an abusive relationship at all whatsoever. Those are very serious accusations. So I want to make it very clear that I'm not a doctor. I don't know Evan's full mental health history. These are just my personal experiences that have happened with me in my relationship. So take what you will with it. I will say that that last 2 to 3 years where shit was really bad before TI, if TI didn't happen, I mean, I'm very open about it. TI saved my life. That relationship would have killed me because I didn't want to give up on him, because I'm a fighter and I believe in, like, I'm a ride or die, 100%. So I just truly thought that he would get better, and I felt like a prisoner. I can't, like, stress that enough. And when I really think about it, and I realize how sick he is, and I don't think he knows how sick he is, and if he does, I think he's got to be scared, and it's actually like a very, very sad situation. So after the show, he refused to let me just be. Like, I did everything right. I didn't talk to him after that final straw when he left with Morgan. I was just living my life. I was trying to be happy, and he would not just let me be happy and live my life. He bullied me relentlessly on lives. As you all saw, it was ridiculous. Also the aftermath, and I'm just gonna be very vulnerable and transparent right now. You guys ask about my dating life very often. I'm like 90% the healthiest and like happiest, I wanna get emotional, I've ever been in my life. With that said, I definitely, 10% of me, I was gaslit for so long that to this day, I still don't really trust my mind fully. So it's really hard for me to date guys, because it's like, hi, I'm Casey, nice to meet you. By the way, I was in this like psycho abusive relationship, and like I have a shit ton of baggage. Like, it's just to find someone that I can like, to find someone that can be patient with me and like really understand like the gravity of the things that I've been through and like take their time with me. It's very scary, and I just don't even know where to start. So yeah, and this like has affected my family, it affects my friends. Like, every time we have to talk about it, everyone that loves me is affected by this. So I just really want, after these videos, I want it to be put to bed, and like we never talk about it again, because I want my new life. Like, I want to fall in love again. I want a new, not even just a new chapter, I want a new book. I just want to say that this is one aspect that I truly feel bad for Morgan about, and I'm like so thankful for. He took away my 20s, and he took away a lot from me, but he didn't take any of like my really big moments. So like getting engaged and like getting married and having kids, like all of that is still gonna be saved for the right person, and I'm like so thankful for that. And then I think I kind of want to just end this on 2 notes. Number 1, if you love yourself, do not be with an Evan. Whether you're a man or a woman, do not be with a man or a woman that treats you that way, because I promise you there's someone out there that is going to be crazy about you, and they're gonna love you and fight for you and be your biggest fan, and it's gonna be easy, and you're gonna laugh together, and like, yeah, shit's gonna get hard, and like, you're gonna fight, but it's not gonna be where they like steal your life and your joy, and you just feel like it's never gonna get better. And with someone like this, the only option is no contact. I had to ghost, like block from everything, no contact. It's as if I don't exist. And then lastly, be kind, because I've learned from this whole experience that there are some very hateful, mean people in the world, and it's a blessing that I'm such a strong person, because I got through it, but it wasn't easy, and it was very, very hard. So be kind until you know someone's full story. And this is the end of discussing Evan and Temptation Island, because I'm ready for my mother effing happily ever after. Love you all.